dubbed Better. The funds will target 5 key areas: affordable housing and settlement, agricultural transformation, MSME development, healthcare, and the creative economy. Calvin Yakundi tells us the new shift from Big Four to Better.
In what is said to be a replacement to his predecessor's Big Four agenda that targeted food security and nutrition, affordable housing, manufacturing and universal health coverage, President William Ruto is set to roll out a 5-pillar plan to drive his government's development agenda. In his maiden budget speech, Treasury CS Professor Njuguna Ndung'u outlined housing and settlement, agricultural transformation, MSME development, healthcare and the creative economy as key priority areas for the government, with a combined allocation of over 252 billion shillings under the new bottom-up economic transformation agenda dubbed Better.
The key concerns raised by the public can broadly be clustered around 5 issues. 1, the high cost of living. 2, the high cost of unemployment. 3, and this is mostly among the youth. 3, the high tax burden. And 4, the wastage of public resources. And finally, the high public debt.
First up is healthcare, which is set to receive 141.2 billion shillings under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, accounting for more than half of the allocation. It is set to prioritize key UHC, development of cancer centers, and a 1.7 billion shilling health cover for the elderly and vulnerable members of society. Housing and settlement will receive the second largest allocation under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda at a combined total of 85.1 billion shillings. The funds will cover different aspects including land titling at 2.1 billion shillings, 2.6 billion shillings to settle squatters, alongside digitization and building of land registries at 893 million shillings. An additional 35.2 billion shillings has been set aside to feed into easing access to housing, including 16 billion towards urban and social housing programs, 5.5 billion shillings towards access to mortgages under the Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company KMRC, and 1.1 billion shillings for police and prisons officers' housing schemes.
The cost of housing is a heavy burden to the majority of Kenyans, and is the main factor driving the proliferation of slums in the country. The government's commitment is to turn the housing challenge into an economic opportunity to create quality jobs for our over 100,000 young people graduating from TVETs every year, directly in the construction sector, and also indirectly through the production of building products.
Next up was access to capital for hustlers falling under the MSME bracket alongside women and young entrepreneurs. The government is set to allocate 10.8 billion shillings towards various funds, with the Hustler Fund getting the lion's share of 10 billion shillings, with the rest of the funds directed towards the Uwezo Fund, Youth Enterprise Fund and Women Enterprise Fund.
The Kenya Kwanza, commonly known as the Hustlers Fund, that was set up in November 2022 to provide access to affordable credit to individuals and MSMEs, medium and small enterprises, and to encourage savings.
Kenyans working within the digital and creative industry are also set to benefit from the allocation of 15.1 billion shillings towards enhancing access to digital services. The benefit will, however, be largely indirect, with most of the funds directed towards infrastructure development and the development of the Konza Technopolis.
Specifically, Mr. Speaker, this proposed allocation includes 600 million for the government shared services to fast-track the development of the Konza Technopolis city. I propose the National Assembly to effect budget allocation of Kenya shillings 4.8 billion for the horizontal infrastructure phase 1, Kenya shillings 1.2 billion for Konza data center and smart city facilities, and Kenya shillings 475 million for construction of Konza complex phase 1B.
The government is set to utilize the 5 pillars outlined under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda to appease Kenyans who, through the budget-making public participation processes, raised concerns on the finance bill and the pinch of new tax measures. Nyakundi Kelvin, KTN News.
Now, the Kenya